One day I was sitting at my desk looking down over my garden and I saw a fox run past followed by 2 hares, which was unusual in itself. And then I noticed a little hedgehog scuttling along in the same direction under the hedge. And I thought, gosh, this kind of reminds me of the stories of Noah's Ark when I was a kid, you know, and I went, God, go out and see what's happening. And I went out and walked in the direction they were coming from. Somebody had got permission to build a house and they'd gone in with a digger and cleared it out very, very quickly without any thought for the creatures that called it home. I was standing there in horror and I thought, well, where are wild creatures supposed to go? You know, they can't go into our woodlands because our woodlands they're crops. Our gardens are not safe either. If you want to help nature, you're going to have to start with your own patch of it. Start at home.
Mary Reynolds began her career as a garden designer and had phenomenal success. At just 28, she became the youngest woman ever to win a gold medal at the storied Chelsea Flower Show in London and was an internationally sought-after designer. But the experience of watching wildlife lose their homes inspired her to change direction from gardener to guardian.
I think gardens are part of an old world, and I think we need to build a new one.
The old world Mary knows is one that's been radically transformed by human development. 80% of her native Ireland was once covered with untamed forest. Now, it's just 11%, and nearly half of the protected species and habitats here are in decline. But Mary believes that each person has the power to help restore nature, here or anywhere in the world.
So I set up a movement called We Are the Ark, and I called it Acts of Restorative Kindness.
To turn any piece of land into an ark, Mary asked people to do something both simple and profound. Give half of it back to the wild.
We need to learn how to share, you know, so if you can take half of your land and give it back to nature and restore a native plant community, you know, that would be massive.
Mary started We Are the Ark in 2019, but only began building her own ark 2 years ago, when she bought her own piece of land. The key to restoring native plant life can often lie just beneath the surface.
Start by working with the seed bank, which is in the soil, and setting those seeds free. There's usually about 5,000 we call them weed seeds, in every square foot of soil, and they only need 1/30th of a second's worth of light to be activated. We've been told that it's all just a bunch of weeds. But when you start to see what those native plants actually support and who comes back, this is your true nature being restored.
Mary encourages people to create as many microhabitats or layers of native plants within their ark as their space allows. Each layer supports different parts of the local biodiversity, the variety of plant, insect, and other species that live in an area.
You'll have the herbivore layer, which is like the grazed area, which is your lawn. You'd have an ark meadow, and you'd have a scrubby area, and you have a woodland, and you have all the kind of helpful areas in between, like dry stone piles, dead wood, and water. It's so simple. When you come over to my side of the fence, it's all about setting the land free of the bondages we've put upon it. It's going to start getting less tidy, so we ask people to put up a sign and say this is an ark, and it takes away the shame of not having what society has told you should have. And it gives them almost like permission to celebrate what they've been doing.
Salsify, a nice bit of fennel.
Mary's friend Claire welcomed that permission as she set out to build her ark.
I mean, look at that boysenberry. You see how many little berries are on it already. But look at this.
It's always going to be a challenge for most of us. Living in the Western world, growing up being told, you keep this neat, you keep this for that particular reason. It's all got to be neat and tidy and pristine.
If you care for nature, stop being so tidy.
Yeah, and it's really ingrained in a lot of us.
boxes. I mean, we obviously use
Over time, as Mary's idea caught on, she wrote a book to help others create their own arks. In it, she details each step of the process, for those with as little as a balcony to as large as a farm. There's a method for each person to give nature some space.
Oh, Mary, this is up our back garden.
But the first step in ark building can sometimes be the most difficult.
So to build an ark, just take your time and watch and get to know the land. So what I say initially is don't do anything.
The first thing that we did was stopped cutting the grass. That was our very first thing.
That first big step makes room for local biodiversity to return. But it's important to pay attention to what pops up.
So this is the pond, Mary.
You have to remove non-native plants, specifically non-native invasive plants. Those plants are not part of the local food web.
So this is the main area, Mary, where
Yeah.
we took out all the non-native kind of specimen trees and plants, and there was loads of bamboo there and palms. And it was just bare ground, and ordered just the small native trees. So you can see them kind of punctuate up along the grass. It's just new life. It's just, I really do feel like I have given something back.
Oh, that's wonderful. So guys, why are you doing this? Because most people, they just don't get it, you know? And you guys totally embraced it. And to be honest, I'm kind of overwhelmed with, oh my God, they actually did it.
Well, we kind of have to. We've no time left. There's no time like the present. So, I mean, we had started off by doing nothing, and we could see what a difference that made. And then Ali started reading your book, and that was just a game changer in terms of we really need to act now.
Yeah.
So we just committed fully and went for it, and that's what we're doing.
Louise Flynn went all in too, after some initial missteps.
We moved here 3 years ago, and we, for the first year, did all the wrong things that everybody does, and put in a lawn and stuff. And then for the last 2 years, we've been doing the ark. It's kind of just takes a little shift in your mindset to appreciate, you know, it might look a little bit messy now, but if you're able to sit in the middle of that and really feel the life, rather than sitting in like a green desert where there's, you know, nothing.
The joy in creating an ark comes from all the creatures that return. And you end up, your heart opens to include every single one of them. And they become part of your family, and you become part of their family. And there's a trust and a magic that happens.
Anita and Will Wheeler have seen it happen right before their eyes. Years ago, Will and his father helped their land go wild.
We were always drawn to nature, so truthfully, it was something that came naturally for us to do.
When we heard about the Mary Reynolds We Are the Ark project, we thought, well, we're already doing that.
Today, their ark shows what 3 decades of growth can look like.
This area we were in now was an extremely overgrazed area with neighbours' cows, lots of animals in here. None of these trees were here, and it's incredible just to see in 25 or 30 years how it's come on. And now it's almost like some kind of Irish jungle, you know.
Will's dad and Will made these beautiful ponds. They're fed by a stream just behind us, and it creates an amazing space for frogs, tadpoles.
Yeah.
Will, you've even seen an otter.
We've seen a lot. So many new animals that have come since we started it.
Yeah.
Red squirrels, pine martens, badgers, woodpeckers, not to mention all the insects. An unbelievable rich variety of nature.
Anything you can give it all is like bonus for wildlife, just even somewhere for a butterfly to land.
It doesn't take much to go back to becoming guardians instead of gardeners, you know.
That shift is resonating with more and more people here. And for a younger generation, it's become a call to action.
I think that a lot of people in my generation are so paralysed by the climate crisis and the pressure to make change that sometimes they do nothing at all. And I think that there's this idea that for you to be a climate activist or for you to do something, good in the world, you have to change everything. I think the important thing about the Ark is it doesn't have to be a big space at the back of the school, or your whole garden doesn't have to be a jungle.
The Loreto Secondary School donated a space between fenced-off fields for students to build their Ark.
Initially, we didn't have anything here, so I thought it was really important to mark the entry. And Mr. Gunning and I came up with the idea of marking it with a threshold kind of thing. And yeah, the colours scheme, all of that kind of inspired me to go back to nature and go back to how simple we can all exist in this world. And basically, the Ark is wild and so is the painting.
When you build a thing, you just don't know how people are going to react. But what we discovered was that when students came up, it reminded them of the benefits of being in nature. A very important word in the Ark project is kindness. And I think Mary says that the way we treat a piece of the earth is how we treat ourselves. And so you can imagine being a teenager in the world today, all social media and all the comparisons. And when you come in here though, there's no judgment.
People need to be the change, and this is just one way of generating change by promoting nature and environment. And hopefully we can encourage people to make their own arks and try and combat the climate crisis through that as well.
Today, Mary's movement is taking hold well beyond Ireland.
There's people all over the world. There's arks in Texas and there's window boxes in Norway.
Our ark is in the southwest of Western Australia, and we have 5 acres here that we purchased in 2005.
Another area here we just let go this year, lots of foxglove.
There are 20,000 people in our group who all bounce ideas and share, pictures of what's happening in their arks and how things are coming back. We don't need to reach that many people to shift away from the old world of looking at land as something for our creative pleasure towards this one, where we look at land as something to take care of, to be guardians of. This body of earth that we live on knows how to support her systems of life. So we need to step back and let her lead. Patch by patch, we'll get there. Make a patchwork quilt of hope, that's the plan.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you'd like to dive deeper into this story or learn how you can help protect biodiversity near you, visit wildhope.tv and come back on Mondays for more Wild Hope right here at PBS Nature on YouTube.